Cure, Friday, I'm in love. This is like, stop hitting him. Stop hitting. He's in your band. That's Shirley Manson. That's Butch Vig over there. How are you?
I'm good. See, I like wearing headphones.
Right.
Because I like being in the studio, and Shirley doesn't like
Not
wearing
me.
headphones.
Right. Why? Because it stopped ruins of conversation?
No, I just think they're unnecessary. I don't quite understand why you're both wearing them, but maybe I'll put them on and I'll understand. It'll all become clear.
No, not those headphones.
Okay,
They're
now
not
I'm
very
wearing
good.
them and I just think it sounds ridiculous.
Well, is that because you don't like listening to your own voice?
No, I love listening to my voice. Are you kidding me?
She's a singer, for God's sake.
It's everybody else who doesn't like listening to my voice.
That is. I should have seen that coming. It has been these last 5 minutes a little bit like a school reunion. Have you got kids? Have you got kids? Because I imagine there must be. You're going to do that. Have you done promotion already where you're going rounds and equally like
No, you're our
this
first,
meeting?
First.
I'm not.
We're very early on. We're just kind of rolling trying to wake the old dinosaur up, hop on that bicycle and pedal furiously.
We just played The Cure. Were you Cure fans? Were you a Cure fan?
Of
when
course. Are you kidding?
Posters on the wall? Did we go that
No, I didn't
far?
go that far, but I mean, I was crazy in love with The Cure.
Yeah.
You know, when we were doing the James Bond theme, we were at a studio, Metropolis maybe, and The Cure was or Robert Smith was in the studio next door, and we came out in the commissary area, the lounge, and I was too starstruck to go up and say hi.
You were too starstruck.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, there's Robert Smith. And I was like, just go up and say hi, man. Hey, we're in Garbage. Really love your music. And just sat there like petrified.
Really?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, because they, sort of shared, or still do in a way, a sort of similar affection, I suppose, for some of the darker areas of pop music and where you could take it. Would you say that's true?
Sounds filthy, but yeah, I would say it sounds true.
Well, all right. Some of the darker areas, but not the dark area that says the world might end.
Not the darkest area.
What's the line? What's the line on this album? The world might end. The night might fall. Rain right
on
down and cover us all and drown us with the burden of our sins.
Amen, brother.
There you go. It's one of the things. I know how much you love talking about your songs, but I am going to put you through it later on in the program.
So impossible.
Before we get to this new record, though, The Break, where did you all disperse to during this hiatus?
Well, we needed to disappear from each other's lives. We after doing 4 records by the time we finished Bleed Like Me, it had been like over 10 years, 4 long chunks of time in the studio and then 4 long tours. And I think just needing a break physically and sort of mentally from each other, and that combined with some frustration dealing with our label at the time, just it was time for us to go away and healthy for us. I mean, when we got back together last year to start recording, everybody felt totally jazzed and rejuvenated, and we needed 5 years off to get that, though.
And so where did you all end up? Were you all living in different parts of America by this point?
Yeah, Shirley checked into a lunatic asylum, and we had to go bail her out like a SWAT team. We went in and busted her out one afternoon. Come on, let's get the band back together.
I was going to say, who cracked first then? Who made that phone? Who made the Blues Brothers phone call?
Shirley
Who do you
did.
think? I mean, who does all the begging and grovelling in this band? Me, of course.
So, but why? What prompted it?
I think just exactly what Butch was saying is we just got to the point where we were ready and we'd had enough life experience and filled back up, you know?
Yeah. Because is that the thing? I mean, almost like comedians, once they've written all their gags for their first tour, which is all based on their life to date, then, and they're obviously they're on the telly and they've done all the jokes and they've done everything that they've experienced, they have to go away for 2 years and find something else to write about.
And live again.
Did it feel like... But how long, though, does it take after 10 years to actually feel like you're a human being again?
You know, when we walked off stage in Australia, I thought it would be about a 2-year break, and 5 years went by, boom, just like that.
So it was 6 years.
Or 6 years, yeah. And everybody was busy. I mean, Shirley started acting. Duke got involved with making some film documentaries in an indie label. Steve moved and worked on his own music. I started producing full time, and I also became a father, so that is quite a big change in your headspace. And just all of a sudden, we didn't even know that 5 years had gone by.
Yeah. I mean, because here's a weird thing. You've got to put this into context, don't you? 17 years since your first album.
Amazing.
17, that's like
Good
a career.
God.
17. And the question I always think, particularly even with the gap, do you grow closer as people in a band or do you drift further apart since you've known each other over the course of the 17 years? Do you find yourself feeling, I'm actually really quite close because I shared all this, or do you actually feel further away? Because you've shared a lot of things.
Make him answer this question.
I think much closer.
Make him?
I think we're very close as a band, and that's one of the reasons that we've been able to stay together. If we had gone in and tried to make a record right after Bleed Like Me, I think we probably would have split up, and that would have been it. But the nature of being apart and letting us sort of reclaim our lives gave us a perspective on how important the band is to us. And it's a huge part of my life and all of our lives. And we have always been close. You know, we're like a weird little family. And I always like being in bands, as if you, it's like we like being in that clique, you know.
But the thing is, as the energy levels get lower, you naturally become more selfish, I think, whatever it is that you're doing.
True.
Which is what risks then the relationship,
Yeah.
I think.
We talked about that just the other day. I think it's important for bands who want to stick together to actually hold on to one another, you know, which you're right. As the years go by, it gets easier and easier to sort of drop each other's hands, which we were definitely guilty of. Everybody in this band loves each other. There's definitely no doubt about that. But we did sort of stop taking care of one another.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about this the other day in the van, is that we have to, on this tour, be sure to look out for one another and not just, when you see someone low, just sort of look out the window instead. You know, I think we realise it's our duty to sort of look after our own.
Well, I think that's what I'm getting at. It's whether you've developed that understanding of what makes everyone sort of tick at a certain time, isn't it? And if you have that, then the gang's back together.
Yeah.
We shall talk about the records and some of the influences and where it sort of fits in after we played you this, which is a track you'll be familiar with on Six Music, which is Battle in Me.
It takes a lot to shake me.
Garbage and Battling Me. There's no room left for anything else in that track. How many tracks on that? How much is in it? There isn't a single brick that's out of place in that wall. Is there?
It's pretty saturated sounding. A lot of the songs on the record, we kind of squeeze them when we mix them. We just want them to sound sort of effed up, not too clean.
Yeah.
And it's cool. It's just kind of blew the speakers out a little bit here and there. It's good though.
I will definitely talk about the record in a second. Is there anything that you've taken from your acting experiences which you've brought back to the band in any way?
Well, I understand, by the way, let me just say this, how ridiculous this sounds. I mean, of course,
darling.
It sounds, terribly darling. But going to acting class changed my life completely. I had an amazing teacher. I was really lucky that I got an incredible teacher. I mean, obviously I'm in LA, so I'm in the hotbed of great teachers, but she taught me a lot about just life and how to take risks and stop being scared as a person. And of course that affects your music. Yeah, definitely.
See, and how did you get on with other actors and lovies? Butch has to hang around with pop stars. In this gap between, you've had to go and hang around with bands, pesky musicians again, and you're hanging around with actors.
Well, what was great for me is, the TV show I did, the cast were incredible, but going to acting class, I was surrounded by young people who were, 18-year-olds who were just starting out in the business and everything, and that was very humbling for me, and they taught me a lot. It was incredible.
Because they have no fear.
They have no fear, and they have no understanding of failure. And all they have is hope and dreams and excitement. And that was really great to be around.
So, the record, when you got back together, had you written anything? Has anyone had any ideas, or did you just go to a studio and start?
We went in completely cold, and I think that was important. Cheryl called and got Duke and Steve in a town. We went to a studio called The Pass for a week. Our engineer Billy just set all our gear up, and the first day all we did was drink wine and talk. And I think maybe about 10 o'clock at night, let's see if someone can come up with a riff or a groove or something. And pretty quickly, all these little things, like Battle of Me was, I think, the first thing that we wrote. Yeah. Initially, it was like a 15-minute jam with all these crazy parts, and slowly we kind of focused it more. And Man and Wire came out of that. There's a handful of other songs that came out of that session that will probably end up coming out at some point. But I think it was important for us to not go in with any preconceived ideas. Just let's see what drops into our lap. And surprisingly, things happen really quickly. Again,
does that come down to understanding? Because if you could have stood in there, and that whole sort of level of intuition that you used to have as a band, that sort of chemistry, it might not have been there.
No, exactly. We knew, though, that the chemistry was there from the second we saw each other, because we literally were all upstairs in this lounge. I think Duke was the last one to arrive, imagine that. And up he walks up the stairs, and we all just looked at each other and burst out laughing. Like, nobody said anything, we just started pissing ourselves laughing.
No, and then there was a pause, and he went, "Did you miss me?"
So I think we immediately felt that chemistry, which was fantastic.
Has anything changed, though? You must have some new toys. You see, you've got 5 years of new technology and toys to play with, bits of kit.
Yeah, honestly, we did this record kind of guerrilla style. Other than The Past, most of it was done in our engineer has a funky, tiny little room. It's not as big as your studio here, Steve. It's like half the size.
Right.
And I did a lot of recording at my home studio, which is like a bedroom with just drywall up. And Cheryl did vocals sitting on the couch with a handheld mic. And it was kind of, because there was no label and no timeline or anything, there was no pressure. So in some ways, I think it really freed us up. And honestly, a lot of people think I'm a tech head, but I'm not that fussy. Well,
you're really fussy, and you are a tech head. But yeah,
but I'll use whatever's around. Whatever's laying around, I can usually figure out.
Well, you can take something shitty and make it sound amazing, but you're a tech head.
Okay.
In the best possible way.
In a nice way.
Yeah, not overly so. You're not overly silly.
So the songs that came first, like Battle in Me, what else? Where did Automatic, Systematic, Habit come from? Because that's the opening track to the album as a statement of intent. You couldn't get something that was more hungry and angry and selfish and poisonous and all fury, but all pop music.
Pure pop.
Yeah.
That song originally was called Electro, and the initial jam was sort of more major keyed and very like synthy drum machiney, and sat around for a while. And then one day Cheryl came up with all the lyrics and sang on the track, and we realized we had to change the music quite radically. Steve came up with that sort of monster New Order-y riff at the start, and we changed the chords from major to minor, and the whole thing turned on this much sort of heavier, saturated sound. And because Duke and Steve and I realized we needed to make the track match her singing. If you heard the early demo, or not even demo, but the first version of it, it was pretty...
Well, the demo was very light, and I
light
just thought
sounding.
it was too light. And so I came up with the verse vocals when I was high on painkillers for a surgery I'd had on my sinuses. So I was recovering from sinus surgery with like sticks up my nose and sort of dried blood in my nostrils, and I guess I wasn't feeling so happy. I did film it. Are you kidding?
That's the video.
You know, when she first sang the song, she sort of sang it with a German accent. We weren't quite sure where
Well, I
that
wanted
was
to make
from.
it like krautrock.
Right.
And so I did it when I came in to play it for the boys. I was like, okay, I've got this idea. I need you to hear it. And I sang it, the entire thing, in a German accent.
Really?
And then I started walking around singing it like Rammstein. Logan. And we thought maybe we could get Rammstein to do a little duet on this, a remix or something. Anyway,
who knows what might happen in the future?
but like a lot of songs, they start out in one direction, and by the time all four of us have our way, it goes into it's completely different sounding by the time we're finished.
Oh, wait till you hear this, everyone at home. Automatic Systematic Habit kicks off the record. I have to ask this. Is it a record about you, about them, or about your relationship, the relationship between you and them?
All of the above.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At different points.
At different points, yeah.
And which, is there any particular track which might be more autobiographical?
They all are.
Blood for Poppies?
Yeah, that's actually, it's funny because that song is a metaphor. I mean, I used the background of Afghanistan, mostly the Afghani opium wars that rage in the hills of Afghanistan, and I also sort of took a nod to the soldiers that were stuck in these valleys in Afghanistan. But it's actually about being in a band and losing focus and direction, and feeling lost and not really knowing where north is.
And the giveaway is, I miss my dog.
Yeah.
That's the giveaway.
It.
That's
it right there.
You big softy.
I'm obsessed by my dog.
And I miss my dog. There's all sorts of stuff going on in this new record as well, as you'll discover at one point. There's the sort of Western spy movie psychedelia of the title track. That's all over the place. And can you guess when I was making some notes for the album, can you guess which track I simply wrote down 2 words for? Russian disco.
Whoa.
Russian disco. I'm trying to think what...
No, you need to help us out here.
I need to see the track listing.
It's in the second half of the album. Just.
I know what it is. I Hate Love.
Yeah, I Hate Love.
With that string sample.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Russian disco.
Hilarious. I love it.
You're going back on tour, but I imagine not trying to break yourself on tour by doing, bits and bobs here and there. Although we just found out 24 festivals.
Yeah, I just found that out.
24 festivals around the globe. That's going to be interesting.
We're hardcore. We can handle it.
Yeah, but these will be weekends, won't they? Will you sort of come in, do a couple of festivals, go home?
Actually, starting in June, we're out 7 straight weeks, and we're playing like 5 or 6 nights a week. So it's going to be pretty hardcore. It'll be good though. We'll be up for it.
Anything you've learned this time around that you're thinking must have that on the rider?
Again, we were talking about this.
Slippers, maybe.
Slippers.
Pajamas.
Pajamas, yeah. Make sure you bring a proper pair of pajamas and get as much sleep as you can. I think we have no idea if this will be the last sort of time we ever tour. So I think we want to push it kind of as hard as we can, at least as hard as our bodies and our psyches will tolerate it. So we're pretty jazzed up. We've got a great crew again, and so far we played about 6 or 7 shows.
So far, it's been a disaster.
Well, only because we had a couple personal tragedies in the family. We had to reschedule some shows, and luckily, knock on wood, everybody's back to healthy.
We went out on Friday the 13th. It was pouring rain. We had 3 triumphant gigs, and then we basically had to go home for 2 weeks. So this is us at the beginning of it again.
Okay. Well, listen, good luck.
Thank you.
There are UK dates which you can find online, including the Barras on July the 4th.
Yeah.
Independence Day in Glasgow.
Absolutely.
Should be a hoot. And we'll play another track from the forthcoming Garbage record. In fact, this is chosen by the band. This is Man on a Wire. Thank you very much. It's lovely to see you again.
Thank you, Steve Lamacq.
So from the new Garbage album, which is out next week, the album's called Not Your Kind of People. As I say, you can find the tour dates and probably festival appearances as well on their website. But for now, thank you very much to Shirley and Butch for coming by to see us today. Garbage from the album Not Your Kind of People. That track was called Man on a Wire.
This is BBC Radio 6 Music.